I was just talking about how difficult it is to be white. We did Man on the Street. When are we going to play that, Nick, Andrea?
Soon this week, hopefully.
Okay, hopefully for you this week. And I realized even more so. Let me see the people with anger. You get angry sometimes. You have anger. Yeah, okay. So everybody, except the 4 people on the row. You get angry sometimes, right, sir? Okay. You say yes? Okay. What I noticed about anger, and I saw it on the street this weekend, angry people are stupid people. Sorry. Well, not sorry, but I'm happy to tell you.
Good thing we didn't raise our hands.
I bet the other angry people glad they didn't raise their hands. But angry people are really dumb. It made no sense at all for 1 second to be angry. It made no sense. Think about it. You got to be crazy to be angry. You are a human being and you're walking through life in darkness. Think about that. You got to be mentally ill. That's why everybody is mentally ill, because everyone is angry, except for those men and women who are starting to overcome. But I want you to know it. I'm going to prove it to you today. You're dumb. You're dumb. It doesn't even make sense to be angry. There's not one thing that could happen to you in this whole world, the rest of your life, that you should get angry about. Really, not one thing. You only get angry because you're mentally ill, and medication is not going to do anything about that. You can go to your little psychiatrist, your little doctor, and they give you medication for anger. You're only going to get worse, and you're going to be worse and not know that you're worse, because you're going to be medicated up, and you're not going to be able to deal with overcoming the anger. But anger is dumb. So, for an example, let's say that you're married 80 years, and you have 400 kids, and all of a sudden the husband or the wife said, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm leaving. You abuse me. You know, they always say that. If you have anger, you're going to feel, oh, don't leave me. I love you. How will I live without you? I'm so hurt. Let's go have counseling. Let's do this. If it's the husband or the wife that want to leave, right? You're going, I'm lonely, don't leave me. And then you're going to call your mother, Mama, my husband want to leave me. And I knew that man was no good, no way. Mama, my wife want to leave me. I knew that woman was a slut. I told you not to marry her. She's going to tell you, you know what? Don't worry about it, right? But, and so because you have anger or resentment, which is both the same, you're going to be all upset. But just imagine this. If you didn't have anger or resentment and that person wanted to leave, you'd be like, okay, bye. See you later, been fun. And you wouldn't feel a thing, you wouldn't miss them, it would be nothing to you. But because you have anger, you're hurt. It's crazy to be emotional too. We'll talk about that another day. But you're hurt because the person want to leave you. Does that make sense? Yeah. If somebody don't want to be with you, they don't want to be with you. What's wrong with you that you have to hurt because somebody don't want to play with you anymore? If you don't want to play, you don't want to play. Fine. That makes sense? Yeah. But you cry and you fight, and then you go to their jobs and break out the windows of the cars. I used to drive up and down Pacific Coast Highway. When my woman going to leave me, I would be feeling so bad. I would get in my car on a Sunday afternoon, because Sunday afternoon was really nice. It was sometimes Saturday, and I would put on soul music, groovy, on a Sunday afternoon. Or I would play, she gone, I better learn and face it. I'd be crying all the way from Los Angeles to Santa Barbara. I was angry. I was insane. Really. I couldn't handle it. My emotion was hurt. And then my imagination was running crazy. Because to imagine her being with someone else, I could not handle that. Isn't that crazy? I was retarded. But I didn't know I was retarded because everybody else was retarded. So I didn't know you could live a life without being retarded. Retardation. Can we say that word there? I just thought about that word. You don't say retarded anymore, right? You can hardly say homeless anymore. You gotta say unhoused. Like they don't have a bathroom to go to or something. But just think about if you're angry, you're mentally ill. And the problem is with you. What's wrong with you that you're not a whole person, that this person come in and fulfill your life? Or at least pretend to. Or you think he or she died. Think about that. And so what made me think about this right now is we were doing this man on the street yesterday, and I don't want to give you everything, but one thing we were talking about was White History Month. And I ran into a lot of blacks up there, and I was surprised because it was a white, used to be white area. And nearly all of the blacks, and maybe all, but I don't remember, they said no to White History Month. They're like, we have white history every day. And then I asked, do you love the white people? No. Why? Because they enslaved us. Because of racism. They enslaved us. And these people are like young people, like early 20s, 30 it appeared. And then I'm like, you gotta be crazy. In your early 30s, thinking that somebody enslaved you 150 years ago, and, and that impact your life now. Think about that. They're using that as an excuse not to be free. The white man enslaved us, and nobody knew anything about slavery. And so I'm like, where did you get that from? They taught us that in school. This is why you shouldn't send your children to a public school system. Why would you teach your children that you can't make it in life because of something that happened 150 years ago? Even the slave people weren't that mad about it. They loved Mr. Charlie. I remember whenever my master said he was sick, I grew up on a plantation, for those who don't know. When my master said he was sick, I was like, yes, master, we sick. Because my grandparents who worked on the plantation, ran the plantation, they weren't mad at the white man. I'm sure there were some things they disagreed with, but they didn't raise us up to be mad about it. They taught us to work, treat everybody the same, and they were good and bad and all human beings. And so I didn't know to be mad at the white man until I moved to California. And then I started listening to these stupid black leaders. They were lying to me, and I was so young. But you don't need to be angry, folks. Nobody, male or female, can hold you back in life. That's a false idea. There's nothing that you want to do in life that you can't do. It's up to you. But you got to drop the anger, because anger makes you think you can't. Anger separates you from God. You can read the Bible about God. You can talk about God. You can be one of the little prophet people go out on the street about God. You can be everything, know the Bible, raise up holy hand, and still not know God. Because as long as you have anger, you are not going to enter into the kingdom of perfect peace, the kingdom of heaven. It's not going to happen. It just ain't going to happen. As long as you have anger, it separates you from the Father. That's why he said, before you can enter into the kingdom of heaven, before you enter, you must go and forgive. You got to go and forgive. And you got to forgive your mama. Your mama screwed you up. Your mama kept you out of heaven because as a little kid, you were already in heaven. You had no anger. You forgave. People can walk up to you and say, "Hi, little boy. Hi, little girl. How you doing?" And you look at them like they're crazy. And they feel silly. Now they want to smack you for not saying anything. But you didn't judge people. You had no opinion. Zero opinion, right? And then they start to teach you. Say hello. Say hi. Say thank you. Say goodbye. Say this and say that. Because the parents didn't want to look silly if you didn't say thank you, so they made you say thank you. And they started to teach you, and you lost your way. But thank God you can find it.